This is the Bahamas Tonight, the Northern Edition. Good evening, all. I'm Shashina Roll. As always, it is so great to have you with us. Topping news, a nationwide registration exercise for the historic National Health Insurance Plan is now underway. This new plan, once implemented, is designed to change the country's entire healthcare system. Our Joan Davis Roll has our top story.
As persons begin registering for the National Health Insurance Plan here on Grand Bahama, those who are leading the charge want to emphasize that they're not only a part of a national initiative, but in fact they're part of a health revolution. As consultation on the National Health Insurance Plan moved to Grand Bahama, many heard how the government is charting a new course to catapult the delivery of health care in this country. Deputy Chief Medical Officer Dr. Delon Brennan.
We want to make sure it's equitable in the way we go about doing it and making sure that it doesn't really matter how much money you have, what your last name is, what your socio-demographic status is, that everyone is able to benefit from having these services in place.
No Bahamian, Dr. Brennan says, will be denied as persons sign up for the new NIB Smart Card, described as a tool to register Bahamians for national health insurance. The National Insurance Board will accommodate an influx of some 215,000 registrants. Of that number, approximately 163,000 are in the nation's capital, 25,000 in Grand Bahama, and the remainder on the other family islands.
We know that having everyone assigned a National Insurance Board number along with being able to get their new NIB Smart Card is a good way for us to be able to really put together a database for which we can then say what is the eligible population that will be able to access national health insurance services.
The medical executive talked further about its significance.
Enrollment really includes being able to choose your primary care provider along with choosing your insurer. And so that will be the next stage. We look for that to launch early in the second quarter of 2016. So we are marching toward that beginning date. And as soon as we're able to get that done, then we'll be able to actually launch with services as well.
Dr. Brennan explained that the primary care aspect of the new health insurance initiative will cover a gamut of health services.
Primary care really are those essential health services on an outpatient basis that they would expect to get, not just visiting a physician or visiting a healthcare provider, but truly being able to access the services past that as well.
Joan Davis Roll, ZNS Network News.
In other news, the Parliamentary Registration Department taking the registration process to the people. That's the people of West Grand Bahama, to be exact. Residents who are eligible to vote can now register right in the community where they live. Sabrina Brown has the details.
The Parliamentary Registration Department has launched its voter registration drive here in the 8 Mile Rock community, and residents are being encouraged to take advantage of this opportunity. West Grand Bahama is the largest residential area on the island, and officials of the Parliamentary Registration Department believe there is a great need for the service in that district. A sub-office was officially opened at the local government office in Jonestown on Wednesday morning.
Between the beginning of 8 Mile Rock proper and West End, we can easily see 5 to possibly 10,000 eligible voters in this area. The office will be here open every Wednesday and Thursday each week from 9:30 to 4.
Assistant Parliamentary Commissioner Reno Smith says a Bahamian passport is the main form of identification that must be presented in order to be registered. He's making it clear how an affidavit can be used in the registration process.
We will accept an affidavit for the purpose only of correcting a typographical error on your passport or in your passport or on your birth certificate. Passports, we are accepting them up to 1 year expiration. If they have expired up to 1 year, 12 months, we'll accept that. Anything over 12 months, unfortunately, we're going to have to reject.
Administrator for West Grand Bahama, Brenda Colebrook, is also making an appeal to residents in that district to take advantage of the newly opened sub-office.
I would send a particular plea to all of the younger persons in our country, those of you who would have just turned 18. We are encouraging you to please come out and make yourself an official part of this country, register, give yourself a voice.
The Parliamentary Registration Department also plans to open a special needs center at the Freeport Post Office. Sabrina Brown, ZNS Network News.
In other news, as a team of officials have been dispatched to the Family Islands to address complaints about reported abuse at some hotels, the Minister of Foreign Affairs and Immigration is underscoring the need to protect the rights of workers in this country. Joan Davis-Roll reports.
But the way you speak to them as children, it made them do things that they don't even supposed to do.
Like what?
Scrub tiles with toothbrush. That's inhumane.
The allegations are scathing and are said to mirror the increase of number of complaints coming from workers at various resort properties. Minister of Foreign Affairs and Immigration, the Honorable Fred Mitchell, weighing in on the issue recently, vowed that the dark days of this country's history will not be repeated.
I do not want, particularly for Grand Bahama, where Lyndon Pindling came here in 1969 and told the social order in 1969 at the opening of Borco that if they did not bend, it would break. We don't want to have to redo all of that a generation and a half later. We're finished with that.
ZNS News has learned that for years such complaints have been made to the relevant authorities by workers, but it was pointed out that action came immediately following the Memories and Grand Bahama Youth Choir debacle.
There's no wrong time to do the right thing, and the right thing is now being done.
Minister Mitchell said the concerns of workers will not fall on deaf ears. Key government agencies, he notes, with a renewed thrust, will continue to work in tandem to address the myriad of issues.
What exacerbates the situation in Exuma is that there are several keys, and immigration does not have the resources to check these various establishments. And so what we're being told by employees that some employers are flying in people directly without getting clearance, or for example, they fly to Abaco and they assume immigration doesn't know what's going on in Exuma, so Abaco clears them, and then they fly their workers into Exuma directly, and some of them are in violation of the immigration laws and again abusing Bahamian employees.
Minister Mitchell says that not only must the workers in our country be protected, but the sovereignty of our nation as well. And the government, as well as his ministry, is committed to doing just that. Reporting for ZNS Network News, I'm Joan Davis-Roll.
Thanks, Joan. In news from the crime beat, 42-year-old Kyle Cecil Bosfield of Freeport was arraigned before Magistrate Rangan Johnson this morning for possession of an illegal firearm and ammunition. He pleaded not guilty and was remanded until April 5th for trial. Now, police say Bosfield was arrested in the Freeport area yesterday by officers from the Lokai Division and was reportedly found in possession of a .38 revolver and ammunition. Switching gears now, a Grand Bahama family is demanding answers tonight. They claim that their loved one was wrongfully cremated, and they have yet to receive an official explanation from hospital officials. Lillian Gilbert was a joyful 84-year-old who loved God and family.
She just loved the iron. She loved to cook at that age. She would cook. You get home, not expecting food to be there, but when you get home, food is cooked.
But this once active woman became afflicted with cancer, and according to her son, Andrew Gilbert, the last time he saw her in hospital, he knew that he would get the call by the next day that she would pass, and she did. But what he was not prepared for was days before the funeral, finding out that somehow there was a mix-up at the Rand Memorial Hospital, and her body was cremated.
I was called to a meeting at the Rand Memorial Hospital by Senior Administrator Mr. Sharon Williams. I was told that my mother was cremated. We believe that sometime between the Friday of her demise and Monday, November 30th, 2015, her remains were collected from the hospital by a funeral home, not of our choice, and she was cremated. This was never our wishes, nor that of my mother, simply because our religious belief.
He says the family had organized for Westside mortuary service to pick up his mother's body, but every time the owner went, he was told that they would call him when it was ready. But that call never came. Gilbert says what's worse, the hospital never notified the family until 3 days before the funeral service.
News hit me like a ton of bricks, and it felt like she had died all over again. After that ordeal and the family doing some investigation, we come to realize that the lady whom they mistake my mother for name did not resemble.
The family say they were never given an explanation by hospital authorities as to how this could have happened. Instead, they were left with a dress that their loved one would never wear and a grave with no body to bury.
We had a funeral service on the 5th of December at Tabernacle Baptist Church, but we have never gotten the ashes. And simply the reason why we did not pursue the ashes because there was mixed up in cremation. And so we didn't know what ashes we were getting, whose ashes we were getting. And so we did not pursue the matter.
Gilbert says they sent letters to hospital officials as well as sent emails but never received a response. They have since retained an attorney and adds that all they want to know is how and why. Shoshina Roll, ZNS Network News. Now, we spoke with officials of the Public Hospitals Authority and are awaiting an official response on these claims. Stay with us. There's more news right after this.